Welcome to My Mic Your Voice podcast. Today I'm joined by the talented, creative hip hop artist and educator, Mr. Al Pete. Not only does he move crowds with his music, but he also moves minds through his work teaching communication theory, connecting how we speak, listen, and create understanding. Let's explore how he bridges the art of rhythm and the science of communication. How you doing today?
Doing well. Thank you. Thank you for having me. How you feeling?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for asking. I'm excited to have you on because I love the different things you do and it's such positive and then you're also here in Florida and I'm in Florida and I have family in Jacksonville. So
I saw that, and my apologies on just seeing that. So yeah, you got some people in the city. Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. My mother's father um, lived in Jacksonville, so I used to go every summer to stay with my granddad and my grandma, and my uncles and aunties, and I used to love it. Yeah, right over there off of
Okay, and
Kings.
you said Kings Road too, so that's over here in Edward Waters area and Northwest, as they would say.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so
Yeah,
yep, love old Jacksonville, and I still got some good friends and family there now. So yeah, love old Jacksonville.
yeah, Duval County. That's the home, man. I love it. I love it. It made me the person that I am, and I proudly rep it for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the first thing I was going to ask you to tell everybody a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
Cool, cool. Yeah, northwest side of Jacksonville, Florida. Um, Around my parts, we call it Duval County, Florida, versus Jacksonville, Florida. But geographically, it's Jacksonville, Florida. But well known for the Duval chant and everything that goes on in Duval. Shout out Jacksonville Jaguars and everything. But yeah, I'm from here, man. Went to Reebok High School. When I finished that, went to Savannah State for a couple of years. Came back home, finished up at FSCJ, Florida State College, Jacksonville. Got my master's at University of North Florida, and now I'm here at Edward Waters University teaching the young adults communications and general studies. So yeah, that's me, man. But hip hop artists, love the hip hop culture. So anything hip hop, I'm on it. Um, Within that, I'm a DJ, hip hop artist. From the communication side, journalist, podcaster. I have my network, which is the NPN network, and we highlight people in the arts and culture space, music space as well. We do small businesses as well. Definitely like in the realm of like that music and arts and culture. Yeah, so we do podcasting, newsletters, set up press releases, all that stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, that's why I say your accolades are amazing. And
Thank
the
you.
community, yes, the community should be happy to have you involved because you are involved with the community. But we'll get into that more into the questionings. And so,
Yeah.
my first question to you is what was the moment you realized music wasn't just something you loved, but something you were meant to live?
I think listening to the other messages from other artists and seeing how it impacted me, and being able to translate that energy towards other people. Um, that's what made me realize, like, okay, well, it's one thing to entertain, but it's another thing to like really inform, persuade, connect, um, like those type of things. Like when you think about like how these communities connect each other, and music is probably like the start of it. You know what I'm saying? It's a straight commonality that you listen to music and you're like, okay, I love this song. My neighbor loves this song. My cousin loves this song. My auntie loves this song. My teacher loves this song. The grocery store clerk loves this song. Everybody loves this song, and we live off this song. But we all have different interpretations of how it hits us. And so when you think about the type of songs that are available to us, some songs are just for entertainment, but there are songs that are really informative and bring awareness to communities, to health, all that other stuff. So you start realizing those messages transcend and how they communicate. I was like, okay, yeah, like me and Timmy, I could like I can make a person feel happy. I can make a person like reflect. All these things that how it's transmitted. When I started realizing that it did it for me, and when I was doing it with my music and how it would transmit and translate to other people, I was thinking like, okay, yeah, this is bigger than music, and it's more of a community involved, and it's more ideology involved, theories involved, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is so true. And so, out of all the music genres, you hip hop was the one that you decided was going to be your lane.
Yeah, hip hop for sure. That started in fourth grade. I was asked to write a poem. Was being taught how to write poems, and I realized like being around my family, specifically my uncle on my dad's side, he they would play a lot of like jazz and a lot of like hip hop.
Okay.
So I just realized like, okay, this jazz music that I'm hearing these samples in the hip hop music, and then I'm thinking about the cadence of a poem, and I'm like, okay, like this is very similar to what I was doing. Because after I wrote that first poem, it felt great as a young kid to be like, okay, well, I'm just being expressive on this paper, and somebody's reading it and understanding what I'm saying, what I'm articulating. So I understood like the cadence of it. You got 4 bars, 6 bars, 8 bars, and then you just make the message, and you at the last word you make it rhyme. So I was just like, okay, this makes sense. Like these people they got these nice little jackets and shoes on, and they doing it over like a jazz related sample beat with some drums on it. I'm like, oh, okay, I
Hmm.
can do that too.
Okay. Cool. Absolutely, you sure can. I
Yeah,
write poetry and lyrics and stuff too. I tell everybody, I have like 4 notebooks full. So I'm like, I'm decided to finally open them up and utilize some of them and maybe submit some of it out here to the public. So that's what I'm working on now.
that's
And
and
I've
see
had the
even with I'm sorry, even with poetry, like it's so many ways you can like translate that. Like you can put a beat, below the voice, and it can translate that way. It can inflict a mood or emotion on that. You can put it in a book. People can read it. There's so many ways that you can articulate it, and I just think it's so beautiful when somebody can articulate the words that they have and the feelings that they have within themselves and put it out to the community, which makes people entertained or informed or whatever the case, connect, all of that.
yes, yeah, that is so true. Hmm. And how did you discover your voice within the hip hop culture?
How did I discover my voice? That's a good
Like you say,
question.
you heard it like through the jazz and seeing it through stuff like that. Like, has any artist ever inspired you? Um,
Yeah, now definitely like Tribe Called Quest, Outkast. Those are like two of my heaviest like influences. Nas, Common.
yeah.
Um, I want to say the beginning parts of that. That's a very good question, by the way. Um, I want to say it started by seeing people that looked like me that was similar to me,
Hmm.
like seeing a black man or a black adult doing something that was prosperous. You know what I'm saying, and people receiving it well. You know what I'm saying, and so I think from that start, the starting point was like, okay, these people are black. These people, they're wearing this hairstyle that I want to wear. They're wearing the clothes that I want to wear. Um, I literally just told my students when I finished teaching, I was like, because I was talking about what media influences have they experienced, and I gave them an example. And I said, well, Run DMC used to wear Adidas all the time, and I said
Yes.
I haven't worn any other shoe since like the '90s. I've been like literally been wearing Adidas ever since like 1990. Like I got it on now. I got it on like the jacket, but I was influenced by that. Seeing black men or black adults, black males, that helped me find my voice because I was like, I can actually see it. But then when I started hearing what they were saying, and kind of I could kind of relate because we came from the same cultures. Like it didn't matter that somebody was from New York and I'm from Jacksonville. I mean
Yeah.
that was just the culture that we were in. So it helped me find my voice and get better into it. And it made me comfortable too because I had a period of time where people thought, okay, well, he's definitely sound like he's from the South. Round, and that could be discouraging, you know what I'm saying? But I always stood in my voice, stood in my purpose, and I let it be what it is. So part of that was seeing the people that look like me do it, the messaging that was shared amongst us, and then having some self identification and being like, look, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this regardless of what anybody thinks or feels. This is me, and that you go through that whole self identification process. So you want to make sure um, that you find your voice in that too.
Hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think about a lot of talent come out of Florida and Jacksonville. Because I have my cousins, they from Jacksonville, 95 South. So
Oh,
hmm
of course,
yeah.
of course, of
Yeah.
course. They were influential as well because they were, 95 South 69 boys. Like, when
Yeah.
we found out that they were in Jacksonville, we like, they from our neck of the woods. Like, they from
Yeah.
the same area that we're from. So when you hear a song like How We Used to Chill in the Ville and, 69 boys, they right here naming all the high schools, naming all the neighborhoods. We like, that really put us in proximity, like, oh, if he can do it, I definitely can do it, with some
Yeah.
skill and some time or whatever. But that definitely was a influence as well from a regional and to go deeper into a local standpoint for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I say, I love old Jacksonville. I was just telling my daughter she hate driving that bridge. She'd be like, "Oh Lord," she had to close her eyes when time to come over that bridge. She hate it.
And I want to say there's probably all the bridges too, because every one of them, like from Matthews Bridge to the Danes Point, it don't matter. The Buckman, they all
Yes.
had they thing. Yeah, when you're a citizen here in Jacksonville, you just get used to it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I remember as a little girl when my auntie and my uncle was living there. I used to spend like the summers with them and stuff like that. And I remember the racetracks and I just remember certain neighborhoods. When I was a little girl. And then the
Yeah,
most recent one I remember most is like with my grandfather, where he had the house right there off of Kings, and I forget the other street, but we used to go there every summer. Like I said, I used to just love going to Granddaddy house and used to just love it. And my auntie
yeah.
and them, Stacy and Daryl and all of them, they still there in Jacksonville as well.
Okay, okay. Shouts out to them.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Now, when it comes to MPN, Mr. Pete's neighborhood has become a creative hub for Saturday nights. What inspires you to build that platform, and how do you see it empowering voices beyond music?
I mean, it's because they're different. There are various methods of how you get your information out. So,
Hmm.
and it's funny we're talking about this because I literally was teaching my class. So
Uh-huh.
to give context to the people that's listening and watching, um, I was teaching the intro to communication class. Um, but in this section here today, we was talking about intro to mass media. We're wrapping up our semester, so I wanted to kind of tie everything that we talked about when we talk about communications and talk about the mass media aspect of it. So you have these variations of mass media that exist. So everybody has a different way of communicating and receiving the information. So in my mind, why not utilize each one to the best of its ability? Now we have to make sure that the people that we're reaching, that we want to reach, we got to go where they're at. So some people consume radio very well than they consume Facebook. Some people love TikTok more so than they like to read newsletters. You know what I'm saying? Like we do extensive
Yeah.
research to see how they can be reached and what type of content we need to make to be able to still get the story out and to be able to get the other folks to get their voice heard. Um, some people, it might be simple as people might be shy to be in front of a camera. So radio and voice, you know what I'm saying, might be the way that they want to, express themselves. Some people like to be in front of the camera, like, hey, put the camera in front of me, that's fine. But I just want my people to understand that there are various ways that they can get their information out or get their stories out or develop their voice at. But it's just a matter of utilizing it and really understanding which avenues work best for the person. And then when you get that part, that's when like the mindfulness and the self awareness and community comes in too. Community can help you, can inspire you to go further in your dreams and your goals and whatnot. If you get the right people around you, um,
Yeah.
I really promote to people now. I'm like, right now it's the best time to find community because the way that the world is going right now, the cultures and stuff like that, just the climate of the world, um, it's best to find the communities that's going to serve you for the things that you need, and they're out there. And those communities, if you find a very healthy one that gives and receives, you'll find your voice and find your purpose in life, and it goes from there. So I pride on that. Community is one of the few pillars that I have for Mr. Peterson's neighborhood, the NPN network, like community. And I want people to be comfortable with being around like-minded people that share the same that share the same type of visions, goals, principles, practices. Um, Having that established first, and then being able to add like the sprinkle stuff in it, the creativity, community, and stuff like that. That to me, I think that will help inspire people to move forward with um, the goals and the dreams that they have.
I agree, and you walk right into my next question because it ties right into my next question. When I was going to say, let's talk about hometown and community. How has your hometown of Jacksonville influenced your artistry and your sense of community?
Just thinking off top of my head, I'm thinking when we think about the climate, we'll just say music for an example, right? So we don't necessarily have the resources like a New York or LA would have in Jacksonville, right? Jacksonville, for the most part, has been dubbed as like this regional type of sound versus like New York and LA is more of a national sound, right? So not having those resources and being able to develop these type of resources to exist in the communities in Jacksonville that we need is very important. So a lot of people have went went and did some great things, and they come back home and they make sure that the community that they serve gets those resources. So that's how important that is. So um, I mean, it could be as simple as let's go back to 69 Boys and 95 South. Seeing them walk in the mall, you know what I'm saying, being normal people was enough, you know what I'm saying, for a lot of us. Like a lot of us was like, oh well, you know, these are good people, but they are very great people because they've done the things that they did to still be relevant in the games.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still here. I'm gonna plug on my computer.
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah, because I had said I liked your concept of Mr. Pete's neighborhood. I was like, that was a good, name to come up with, especially when you're working in the community and for the community and with the community. I like that concept of Mr. Pete's neighborhood. So that fits perfectly.
Yeah, when you think about when you think about a neighborhood, the first things you're thinking about is like I know for me when I think about neighborhood, I'm thinking about my neighbors around me.
Yep.
Um, Thinking about, I mean, it's almost to the point sometimes where when you left, like, you didn't have to leave the neighborhood to get all the resources. Like, your
Nope.
library was there. So, your library would be like the older, the auntie, the grandmas of the neighborhood, the uncles, the bigger cousins, the older guys. They would teach you how to, like, look at a car or talk to a lady. There was always like a corner store around the corner, or there was a lady that was selling stuff out of her house. Um, we made everybody yard a football field. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So we had a football
Absolutely.
field, we had a basketball court. Like even
Hmm.
in the neighborhood, we had a lot of essentials in the neighborhood. And sometimes
Yes.
we didn't need to leave the neighborhood. I mean, we had churches in our neighborhood. We had We voted. We still vote in our neighborhoods. We have a councilman or a councilwoman that comes and represents us to the masses or whatever. So when I think about that, I think about all the resources that we have, and I'm like, okay, when it comes to the work that I do, I want to make sure that I am embody as much of that as possible when it comes to the information that we have. Because I remember too, coming up in this world, I wasn't, I didn't have that much resources. I didn't have those connections with music, or you know, or even like OGs to kind of school me on which ways to go and stuff like that. So I had to create it myself, and I just want to make sure that I never leave anybody behind just because of, oh, I want to do this myself or whatever. And so yeah, I just feel like when it comes to like a neighborhood, I think about those essentials, and I built Mr. Peterson's neighborhood, or the NPN network, off that type of energy, and that type of foundation. That's the foundation I want to have going forward.
Hmm. I know, I totally agree because I think about, like going back to my neighborhood here in Orlando. Um, think about all, like you say, all the information you could get because somebody's sitting on their porch, so they know everything, So
Yeah, absolutely.
they can tell you the whole neighborhood information, or it was just like a nice family bond. And like you say,
Think
you
about,
learn
yeah, like
from everybody.
the ideals that come out of these
Hmm.
neighborhoods, like the ideals,
Yeah.
philosophies. I mean,
Yes.
a lot of stuff that the news, and think about it, like the news would tell you one thing, but they'll make your neighborhood look like your neighborhood is the most worst thing on the planet. But you like, I'm in the neighborhood, ain't nothing going on over here. Like
Exactly.
it ain't nothing different than the other neighborhoods that are out and about or whatever. So it's so much information, so much learning that you could do in a neighborhood. So I just definitely want to have that foundation. And we're always going to I always want to strengthen up my foundation too. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes wood get old, you know what I'm saying? Concrete breaks, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So I want to make sure that, okay, well, things change, like lives change, things change, people come in and out. Like, so it's just, you want to make sure that that foundation is steady, and you practicing what you preach for sure.
Absolutely. And you get a lot of young people that come to you for like advice or like to sit and hear your advice, or, just have conversation.
Not as much. I'm hoping that door will open up a little bit more, honestly.
Hmm.
Um, even though, yeah, like I wish that door will open a little bit more, because I don't have no problem informing, the and I keep saying kids, but the younger adults, so even the kids or whatever. Like, I have no problem giving that, but I know sometimes they might not know how to ask, or they might feel like they're bothered, or they might be too shameful to even come in, want to know about this, that, and the third. But I wish that door opened up a little bit more. But I do make it welcoming. I make it neighboring. Like, I make it as neighboring as possible. So when it's been people that come to me plenty of times and say, I didn't think that, when they finally talk to me and they get to know me, they're like, wow, I didn't think that you were this cool. Because I think people just think I'm just
Hmm.
this mystical type of guy, like I'm the Candyman or something. Like, I kind of come out of the clouds, or I sit on this top of the hill or whatever.
Hmm.
And I do have my standards and my boundaries and stuff like that. But I know how I was when I was coming up, and I wasn't prevalent to a lot of the information
Yeah.
that I would like to have. And I had to work for it. I had to work for it, study for it, just be very intentional with purpose, and, really diligent and consistent, and have discipline. So I don't want nobody going around Earth feeling like they can't get information just by having a conversation with me. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely open to having a conversation, and being a help to somebody.
Yeah. Because it's a lot of young men and women who want to get into like the hip hop or, further education. So we're gonna have to come up with something for Mr. Pete's neighborhood, for the young adults. Put on
Listen,
the
I'm with it,
program.
man. I support it. I support it, man. Because if you have dreams, you definitely, I mean, I'm all about pushing people's dreams when
Yeah,
it makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So yeah, I would love to see that happen.
Yeah, because our young people, it's when you actually sit down and have conversation with them, it's a lot of young people. Because I've been meeting a lot of young people, talking to them about my podcast and different things like that, and different subjects and or topics and things they want to discuss, and you'd be surprised that they are so willing and they want to get involved. So I'm like, that's Mr. Pete's neighborhood. That's a good opportunity.
Yeah, certainly,
Especially
definitely,
the
definitely.
communication, that you have, which that takes me to my next question about you teaching communication theory. How does the principles show up in your music and your interaction with your audience, like from your communication theory?
How does it show up? Very great question. Well, it starts off from being authentic. You know what I'm saying? Like just being true to myself. Um, I feel like in the world that in the digital world that we're in, there's a lot of disinformation, misinformation,
Yes.
fake news, all this other stuff. So really, just showing up authentically. I do. I see a lot of more people um, wanting authentic measures. People want to be, want to relate to people.
Hmm.
So being authentic really shows up, and within those theories or whatever, that's just all about having a certain type of agenda, and then being like, okay, well, this is what the agenda is. So for me, I just try to be as authentic as possible. You want to be relatable as well too, but at the end of the day, I just really want to be authentic. So that shows up in that. Um, all the way from the way that I talk. You know what I'm saying? Like when people listen to me and think that, okay, well, he sound geeky or whatever the case may be. Like I'm just I'm very authentic in where I'm from and who I am. Like I'm never gonna try to be somebody who I'm not.
Right.
And it's a form of expression. I understand having a form of expression is very healing and very like intentional healing when it comes to you and when it goes to somebody else, and understanding the powers that be and understanding how information is and energy. I would just say energy, how energy is being translated between one person to another is very, very, very important. Very, very, very important. So that I show up on that part as well to make sure that the energy that I give off is something that people can receive and people can understand that from. So those are like the two things that how I show up in my music or whatnot. And then just making sure that, if I'm talking about anything that has data related to it, or, if it's factual, what I'm saying, I make it known that it's facts. And I'm not just running here just giving out crazy information or whatever. I make sure that it's factual. And if it's not, if it's fiction, I definitely, people would know that it's fiction. Then it's more
Yeah.
like, telling a story, or I'm like, just want you to see a point of view, that type of thing.
Hmm. And that's so true. And the second part of that question is, and what do you hope your students learn about communication through the lens of hip hop and culture?
That's man. So at some point, I gotta get to the point where I can merge hip hop in it.
Mhm.
I use hip hop as an example for the moment now, but I would like
Okay.
to get more. I would like to incorporate more. Like it would be cool to teach a hip hop class, like, and maybe that's something I could pitch to, what I'm saying, to the university or something like that. I think that'd be really cool to do. But I just use hip hop as form of examples. Like for example, when I mentioned that, um, you know, the influence that the media influence, like me watching Run DMC when I was young, and then like wanting wanting to wear Adidas and been wearing Adidas forever. It starts for stuff like that, but then when you start going into like to the type of theories that exist in the world, and having people really understand like how media works for or against them,
Hmm.
um, how it exists in the cultures that they're going to, thinking about the organizations that they're going into, like when they get their degrees and they get into their careers, how to
Mhm.
deal with dealing with organizations and how they have their principles and their rights and their rituals and all that stuff. Like how did that stuff how all of that stuff relates to them as an individual and how does that shape them? How do they even communicate this stuff to their friends and family?
Yeah.
How do they even communicate to themselves all of this stuff? Being self aware of health issues, wealth, generational wealth, all these other stuff. Like all this stuff exists in hip hop. So I have many examples of that, but many theories that I have thought about. But at the
Mhm.
moment, I just use examples. Like I sprinkle hip
Yeah.
hop in there. I remember when I
Mhm.
first started teaching this class, well, all of my classes, I let people know, like, look, I am a diehard hip hop fanatic. Like, I'm like, so the way that I talk, the way that I walk around this classroom, the way that I teach this stuff, it's probably coming off as on a hip hop stance, like a hip hop instructor, educator type of thing. And they understand that too because I'm at a HBCU, right? So
Mhm.
it's easy for them to relate to me because hip hop and HBCU go hand in hand. It's a part of the culture that we embrace and that we love or whatever. We see it grow. We see how
Mhm.
HBCUs. When we think about HBCU, we thinking about education. We think about hip hop. We thinking about education in some form or fashion way. So merging those things
Yeah.
together by examples and by how I look and walk, that's good. That's the start. But a hip hop
Mhm.
class, oh man, that'd be heaven. I'm gonna have to write that down somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, because that ties into my next question. And it is one of my favorite questions with you is there's power in connection. In both teaching and performing, connection is key. How do you create meaningful connections through words, rhythm, and dialogue? So it ties into what you were saying.
Yeah, just when it comes to performing, I make sure that my eye contact is on. I try to put my eyes on everybody and just talk to them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like obviously if I'm performing a song about a woman, you know what I'm saying, like I'm going to be looking at my women and giving them that gesture whatever
Yeah.
respectfully, that type of thing. But if I'm talking about some form of advocacy, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna be a little bit more forceful with my voice and my tone or whatever and be kind of direct with my hands and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So those are the things that from a performance side makes people connect. I exercise those as well in class. When I'm in class, in my public speaking class, I let them know like, look, when you're giving information, depending on the subject or whatever, your tone and your pitch is part of your weaponry. Like the way that you can verbally, non-verbally give information is very important as well. So if I'm talking about something serious, I'm gonna have a serious tone. But if I'm joking off or whatever, my tone might be high, like a little laugh, ha ha ha. So those type of connections with words and just behaviors, applying rituals, because rituals is a big thing too. Like we're not gonna go in some of these cultures doing one ritual when they have another ritual. Like i.e. when you think about fraternities and sororities, they have their own thing. Each one of them have their own thing. There's their own practice. That's their culture, whatever. So I'm not gonna go in one fraternity and be doing something that my fraternity does. You know what I'm saying? So it's just learning those, understanding those boundaries, behaviors, and stuff like that, and all of that just encompasses like this ball of like understanding and thing that we call like communications. And then when you add the music element to it, you know what I'm saying, the hip hop action, you're adding the hip hop elements in within the communications part, and you're illustrating it from that way. So yeah, it's all about like rhythm and words and how you write your words, how you present yourself. Like,
Right.
um, are we saying the N word all the time, or are we cussing all the time, or are we like who are we talking to when we talking about this stuff? Is it young kids
Hmm.
listening to this? Is it people that are in their midlife or whatever? Like it's all of these things, and you find out those things, and you like, okay, well, let me be attentive of that. And for me, I'm very attentive of that it's almost to the point where I can do it without even paying attention. Like I can kind of scan. I can walk in a room, scan a room, and be like, "All right, I'm not going to say this word. I'm not going to do this.
Okay.
I'm probably going to dress this way." You know, it's just those type of. That's how I show up on that, and
Yeah.
so I want my students to understand, like when you out here in this world, you know, there's a thing called perception. That's one of our chapters. We talk about perception, and if you're not up on it, it can, you know, you could be judged or reprimanded or whatever for that. So I just hope the students understand, like this is just as important as learning about your major or whatever. Like having the right communication methods and skills is very important to your walk.
Yep. Yep. And I like this conversation because it just ties right into my next question. So now we're going to dive into like, because we're going.
Listen, I'm gonna have to play the lotto. I keep tying into these questions.
I know, right? Yes, yes. So that's a good thing. So now we're going to talk about your legacy and mentorship. You've inspired many artists, students, and community members. What do you hope your legacy communicates to them?
At the moment, I just want people to be. I want people to be good neighbors. You know, when I sign off on my radio show, or just, I mean, I say it now too, just in general, but you know, I sign off when I do my radio show, and I'm like, be good to yourselves and be good to others.
Yes,
Um, so I just want people. I want my legacy to. I want people to understand, like being good neighbors. You know, is a good thing. Like, make sure that your people are straight. Make sure that your next to kin or whoever, make sure that you're doing right by them. Make sure that you're doing, you know, make sure that you're being a good neighbor. Be a good steward. Like that's one of the main things. Well, that's the main thing I can speak on right now, legacy wise, because I still feel like I'm writing my legacy. Still feel like I'm
okay,
writing it. I feel like I haven't added to it as much like how I would like to, but I do know that I'm thankful that I've done a lot of things that I've done. But right now at the moment, and I'm sure I will mention this forever, but like just being a good neighbor, man. Like being good to others. Being good to others and being good to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have to be selfish, but you know, from all aspects of health wise, be good to yourself. Mental health, spiritual health, physical health. You know what I'm saying? Be good to yourselves. Make sure that's intact, so you can make sure that you're intact for everybody else. Like
right.
be good to yourselves and be good to others, man. Like
Yeah,
that's my legacy on that for sure. I promote that very
abs-
hard.
absolutely, absolutely. And I got a fun question for you. I see that you interviewed Boney James and my guy, my man Kenny G. What inspires you
Okay.
with jazz music?
So I used to play not used to play, still play saxophone. So I
Oh,
started
okay,
playing saxophone in middle school. So I played the alto, I could play the alto and the baritone sax. So um play piano as well. So I played those when I was growing up. I wish I could get into it more at this big age of mine, but like, so and like I stated, on my mom's side, contemporary R&B, well, rhythm and blues,
okay.
um, rhythm and blues and gospel was
Mm,
like the really big thing on my mom's side. We listened to everything, but the two main things was like R&B. Like we went from Phyllis Hyman, Aretha Franklin, you know, Glenn Jones, to listening to you know, BB and CC Winans or whatever, or the Georgia Mass Choir, right? So you know, I grew up in church, but
mm-hmm,
at my dad's house, it was the same thing, but like my dad's side, when I went to church with my grandparents, you know, they went to AME church, and I
mm-hmm.
always associated AME with like black, you know what I'm saying, the militant black. So with that being said, that's the angle I kind of stuck with a little bit.
Okay.
And it was a lot of jazz, and then when hip hop came in the picture, hip hop was playing a lot, and at my on my dad's side of the family, you know, jazz, and we, you know, the hip hop samples a lot of jazz. So in
Yeah.
the midst of me learning those things, I was learning how to play my instruments and playing jazz music while I was playing those instruments. jazz is always going to be like that clutch for me because I just understand the philosophies and the methods of jazz.
Hmm.
It's so free form too. Like jazz is like very free form.
It
You
is.
have a structure with jazz, but then like when the soloists have a solo,
Yes.
they go busy, and I love the creative experimentation factor of being an artist. I'm an artist as well, so I understand the creativity side. I love it. So I've always kept kept jazz music very very close. Like I
Mm.
love hip hop. That's gonna be my number one. But like
Yeah.
R&B, jazz, progressive music, like a lot of the other genres, gospel, those things sit in me as well, and those help me walk through my life with hip hop. But jazz, yeah, it was an honor to interview Kenny G, especially when he pulled out the saxophone on me. He pulled it out
Yes.
of the blue and started playing. I'm like, what?
Yes. Yes, that's my man. Yes, I love going to his shows and I love the solos and from each artist. They are just awesome. They are all so good.
Yeah,
And I like the fact that they've been together for such a long time too. So it makes
absolutely.
for a great family band. And I saw that you had interviewed him. I said, "Oh, look at him interviewing my
Yeah,
guy."
man. And shouts out to Boney James as well, man. Boney James is a man.
Yes.
I enjoyed doing the work with him. Doing the interview with him. He has some great music too. So his
Yes, I
legacy and
love Boney
things that
James.
he's done has been great too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when I listen to jazz, that's what's on my list. Kenny G first, then Boney James, and then I got a couple other people that I like to listen to. But jazz is one of my favorite music to listen to, and then hip hop. Going back to
Yeah.
hip hop, my favorite was Salt and Pepper. They was my
Okay.
favorite because I end up playing their music when my daughter was being born. Back in the day, you had Lamar's classes and you could play music when you're in the delivery room. And I
Right.
chose Salt and Pepper, Push It. So so my daughter was born. But
I
first,
mean,
let me correct
pun,
that.
pun
First,
intended, pun intended, and no pun intended. However you want to take that.
well, you know what? First, she heard Run DMC and Beastie Boys. Cause when I was 7 months pregnant with her, I went to that concert when it was in Florida. I was like, I wasn't missing Run DMC and Beastie Boys. So I was like up
Yeah.
there pregnant with her. So that's the first concert she ever went to. And then when she was born, I played Push It by Salt and Pepper. So when they say get up on this, I got up on the delivery table. And then when they were saying push it, I started pushing it. So, that's a true story. So yes, those will always be my number one girls, Salt and Pepper.
Absolutely love it.
Absolutely. When it comes to hip hop and them, yes, goodness. I was just telling Salt that story the other day too. I made a post to her about that story. I told her, I said, this is a real story. And I had my mom in the delivery room, my niece, my brother. I was like, I don't want my brother in the delivery room. I'm like, get him out. My sister-in-law, everybody's in there to push it. So, but it was
Right.
um, but that was a moment. Yes, that was a moment. And so
Love
now
it.
every time that everybody used to see my daughter, she'd always be dancing. I'm like, that's the dancing, this baby. I say, well, honey, she done heard Run DMC Beastie Boys and she was born to push it. So that's why
Yeah.
she's dancing, baby.
She heard it. She heard it before she was
Yeah,
out and after she was out.
exactly, exactly. Absolutely. Well, my last question for you is if your mic could send one message to the world, what would Mr. Al P want people to hear and feel?
Oh, man, feel the spirit of community. Being a good mix of people that kind of share the same thoughts and feelings, share the same goals and dreams,
Yeah.
um, like and having people there to support you and knowing that what you do and what you give helps others. Like that spirit of community is like it's a very very fulfilling feeling. So I would want people to feel the spirit of community, like true community. Feel the really really good spirit of community.
Mhm. That's
Yeah,
awesome. Well, you could tell you're family oriented as far as like community and neighborhood, and that's a good thing. So I hope people take heed of that from this interview. And because that's what's important, because you do need those communities and those neighborhoods, especially nowadays. You might have to go to your neighbor for a cup of flour or or sugar or something like that. The way things are going, but that close knit community is always important.
Absolutely.
That is so true. Now, do you have any upcoming projects or shout outs you'd like to mention?
I want to shout out my homies, the Uma Creative Group. That's Crate Digger, Sean Smith, S Square, Dominic Lawson, Ty Hicks. Definitely want to shout out my brothers. That community that I have with them brothers, I I'm very thankful for them. Very, very thankful for them. So shout out to them. We have some stuff in the pipeline. We have a virtual um, workshop for like podcasters, content creators. We got that coming up December 6th. So that's with them. But in regards to me, I'm working on two projects simultaneously. So it's another like podcast series that I'm working on. So um, I don't have a date for it. I
Hmm.
would love to have it out maybe spring of 2026,
Okay.
but we'll see. It might come out a little bit sooner. But I'm working on those two podcast projects, and just really just kind of making sure the network is in place, making sure the students ready for finals, and
Hmm.
just being thankful, basking in the moments.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, your kids, they have a pretty cool teacher, so hopefully they really appreciate you and the lessons you're trying to teach and the example you're setting, and they see the need to stay close and, close knitted with their community as well.
Yeah, I'm thankful, and I hope these students, you know, appreciate me. So we'll see.
Hey, especially when the final grade coming up.
Listen, and I know we laughing and joking about it, but all actuality, man, these students have been good to me, and
Yeah,
they've been doing their work, and they're very attentive
that's
and
good.
inquisitive, and that's what I love. So I'm thankful that I'm here to give them the information, and they take it for what it's worth, and they go out and be great citizens.
Yes, yes. And that's a good way to put it. Absolutely. Well,
Yeah,
I say that was Mr. Al Pete, an artist, educator, and cultural voice who proves that communication isn't just about talking; it's about connecting. His story reminds us that that every lyric, every lesson, and every conversation has power to bridge worlds. So, thank you for tuning in to my Mike Your Voice podcast. Until next time, always let your voice be heard.